Hey everyone, this is Deborah Anderson, the BlkWmnAnimator, coming back to you with another video. This video, I'm going to talk about why my personality, my natural personality, hinders my art. So naturally, I'm an animation professional, but right before I decided to go into animation, I was going to be an electrical engineer. So I am half analytical and half creative, and that there's a balance to that, but one thing sometimes hinders the other thing. So in that I decided to pursue the more creative field. Creative people are typically your free spirits and just, yeah, I'm just gonna do. They're sometimes more the impulsive people and stuff like that. And just more exploratory, and I explore, but in a very calculated way. And so I feel like in my art, my analytical side hinders how creative I can be sometimes, and it definitely hinders how I learn. How I learn is step-by-step instruction. And so when I knew from college, I knew Autodesk Maya, and so when I would learn Cinema 4D or when I would learn Softimage, XSI or something like that, in order to get my first taste of it, I needed a step-by-step tutorial to teach me, okay, I'd organize, like, okay, how do you do this, how do you do this, how do you do this. I remember when I first got this job that I currently have, and they kind of required me to use Cinema 4D, which I had opened several times at my previous job, but I had never used it to create anything. And so I tried the YouTube route, which for me personally, the YouTube was just too disjointed and everything was just so separated. So I actually bought a subscription to what was then Digital Tutors, which is now Pluralsight. And I needed that structure of, okay, this is the first step, this is the second step, this is the third step. And so I was able to learn Cinema 4D and kind of progress and do my job then. But I feel like there's so much power in being able to explore things. And so as I'm trying to teach myself 3D sculpting, and I'm still trying to land on it, whether I want to approach that from ZBrush, Sculptress, or Blender. And it's just like, if I could just continually play around and just organically learn how to sculpt, like, I feel like I'm gonna get it eventually, but I've taken so long to do something that is simpler than I'm making it. It's not simple to do, but it's easier than I'm making it. And so, but I also kind of see the hindrance of the exploration thing, because my coworker, I used to watch him do things, and he would like do the stuff the long way, and I'm like, why are you in my head? I don't even think I told him, but in my head I'm like, why are you doing it that way? There's a tool for that. And I feel like that's the power in my analytical side, in that if I don't know how to do something, I just Google it. Like the power of Google. I just Google it, and then there's a tool for it. Like, there was one point where he was like bridging. There was there was like a hole in the mesh, and he was bridging the hole, and like there's a bridge tool, so you could just close the hole. But he like took the edge, extruded it, and then welded the points together, and I'm just like, why are you doing it that way? There's a tool. I think I told him about the tool. I'm like, there's a bridge tool that would make it that easier. So sometimes when you explore, you kind of miss out on the easy way to do things, but I feel like it's really still a powerful way to learn, like to be able to be free and just figure it out. Like when I'm looking at tutorials, I'm just like, how did you learn to do that? Like there's just some people who do tutorials on YouTube, and it's just like, you put this thing with this thing, and it's like, man, how did you come to that? How did you just discover how to do that through playing around? That's like amazing to me. And I can't wait to kind of get a hold on that way of learning. And then like another thing for when I was younger, how it kind of stifled me is that, I mean, my only way to express my artistic ability before was drawing. So I don't really draw as much anymore, but because I have the computer to express my artistic wants and needs. But initially it was drawing. And I'm the type of person where I can draw anything that I see. And I like when I was really drawing more often, I could make it look realistic and it looked nice and it looked just like the image or just like the thing in real life. But I could never get what was in my head to the paper. I remember being like a kid, and there was like this dancing clown. I can still see it. There's this dancing clown in my head, and it looks so specific, like this long hair and all the like the hair that goes out to the side and stuff like that. And I just could never translate it on paper to look like what is in my head. And so it's like I can see, when I see something that is in reality and I can constantly stare at it, I can get it. But the things that are in my head, it's like, I guess they're not clear enough or something. And so I was never able to kind of just go from what's inside and put it on paper. It was also always like copying something else. Or like in my 3D class, my 3D modeling class, my freshman year of college, when I wanted to create, when we had to do a 3D head, it was like I would take elements from other things. So I would take, oh, let me take Will Smith's ears and like Cuba Gooding Jr.'s nose and Jay-Z's lips and stuff like that. And that's how I would create something new, is that I would take from a bunch of things that already exist, which is cool. That's a way to do things. But that's what I feel like. That's how I feel like my analytical side hinders my creative side. I'm not sure if my creative side hinders my analytical side. I feel like my creative side allows me to be analytical in different ways than other analytical people are analytical. But I feel like my creative side helps my analytical side, and kind of going and thinking about things so differently than other people. But I feel like for the reverse, it's really a hindrance, which it does help sometimes. But I just want to kind of expand who I am as an artist and be able to approach things in different ways. So yeah, that's the long and the short of it. So if you have any questions about anything that I said in the video, feel free to leave it in the comments and I'll be happy to answer your question. I'll see you in the next video.